All right, so we're going to do the triangle angle sum theorem. And the name of that theorem gives it away. You got a triangle, which is how many sides? 3. And 3 sides, a triangle has 3 angles. You're going to take those 3 angles, and what does sum mean? Add. You're going to add those 3 angles up, and they equal a certain amount. Here's your theorem. The sum of the measures of all the angles of a triangle is 180 degrees. That means if you take whatever A equals plus the measure of angle B plus the measure of angle C, it equals 180 degrees. Okay? Now, when we look at 1 through 6, we just have numbers. Okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to look at these. I know this one is 75 degrees. I know this one is 29 degrees. The one with the question mark is what I'm looking for. What do I know all of these add up to be? 180. So if I want to find the missing one, there was 180 minus the 75 from this angle minus the 29. And you help me out. What is 180 minus 75 minus 29? You got a calculator? 76 degrees, my friend says. So that angle would be 76 degrees. So now, yep, for all of these with just numbers, that's exactly what you do. So when you look at these 3 angles, these angles are inside of the triangle, and if I add them all together, what do they equal? 180. I know this one and I know this one. How do I find out what's left over? You subtract. Minus 135 minus 24. So 180 minus 135 minus the 24 leaves us with 21 degrees for this little angle right here. So I want you to find for me number 3. You figure out what is the measure of that missing angle. All right. How many degrees? What's the measure of this angle right here? So this one would be 30 degrees. Because what is this one? 90. So what my friend was saying was 60 plus 90, that equals whatever, and take it away from 180. So 180 minus the 60 minus the 90 equaled 30 degrees. All of these figures, they look more complex, but you're using the same thing. So when I look at number 4, I see 1, 2 triangles. I notice I need to find this angle. I don't know. I know one of the 3 angles, okay? So before I can find the question mark, I know this is 117. I got to find this angle. Well, there's no way for me to find it yet, but what do I know about this angle and this angle? What do those 2 make? They make a 90-degree angle. Okay. Look at this triangle. There's 3 angles. I know these 2. I'm going to find this one first. How do you find this angle? What are all 3 going to add to be? 180. So I'm going to squeeze some work right in here. I'm going to do 180 minus 59 minus 71, okay? I could have wrote it over to the side. What's 180 minus the 59 minus the 71? 50 degrees. That's this angle. Tell me what you know about this 50-degree angle. It's part of a 90-degree angle. So if this is part of a 90-degree angle, how do you find this side? You subtract. 90 minus 50 gives us 40 degrees, which leads us to this other triangle. And these 3 angles add together to give me 180 degrees. So if I want to find what's left over, I take 180 minus the 117 that we already knew, minus the 40 that we found, and how many degrees are left for this little question mark angle? 23 degrees, my friend says. So in order to get the angle I'm asked for, I might have to do several other angles. What you have to keep in mind today is the theorem says that the sum of the 3 angles of the triangles adds to give you 180 degrees. So looking for complete triangles, try to find a triangle that already has 2 measurements, because then you can just take those away from 180. All right, so I'm going to look at number 5. Let me zoom in a little closer. I want this angle. This angle is a part of a triangle with 22 and some other number I don't know. So I can't subtract yet. What do I know down here? This is part of a triangle, so these three angles. That angle I don't know, 65 and 20, what do they all add up to give me? 180. So how could I find this one? Subtract. All right, so I'm going to do 180 minus 65 minus 20. And that goes right here. What's that give me? 95 degrees. Okay, so that's 95 degrees. If that angle's 95 degrees, what else do you know? So right here, this 95 degrees right here, that's your vertical angle. Now, 95, 22, and this mystery angle add together to give you how much? 180. So you would do 180 minus the 95 minus the 22. And what does that give us? 63 degrees. Now, how could you check? I should have showed you this earlier. How can I check to make sure I'm getting the right numbers? Plug them back in, okay? Like if I check number 2. If I add the angles, 24 plus 135 plus 21, that better equal 180. These three, 22 plus 63 plus 95 better equal 180. 95 plus 65 plus 20 had better equal 180. What's it mean if something doesn't equal 180? It's wrong, okay? All right, so then you got this other little figure. So I'm going to focus on what I ultimately want to find. I want to find this question mark, which is part of this triangle. I know that all three add to give me 180 and that this one's 82, but I don't have enough information. You need to know two angles in the triangle. All right? I know, look right here, these three angles. What do these three angles, so the angle I don't know, the 71, and this angle, what do they make? They make 180, they make a straight line. I don't know either one of those angles, so I'm still kind of stuck. So that forces me to look at this triangle. I'm going to start with this triangle because all three angles add to give me 180, and I've already got two. Okay, so I'm going to find this angle right here. To find that angle, I'm going to take 180 degrees. I'm going to minus the 30. And what else do I have to minus? The 90, because that's a 90-degree angle. So 180 minus 30 minus 90, what's that give you? 60 degrees. Okay, I still can't find the question mark because I have to know this one. So it's like, I want to know this, but I got to know this first. Then I got to know that before I can find it. All right, so these three angles, they create a straight line. And how many degrees are in a straight line? 180. So if you take 180 and you minus the 71 minus the 60 you just found, how many degrees are left for that angle? 49, my friend tells me. I'm still looking for the question mark. I need to get two of the three angles, then I can find the third. That's what I got. This question mark plus 49 plus 82, what do they all add up to be? 180. So if they add up to be 180, and I want to find out what's left over, what will I do? Subtract. 180 minus the 49 minus the 82. What does that give you? My friend's telling me 49 degrees. I trust, but you verify. All right, so now let's move on to where we're solving for x. Now, what I want you to notice, are these angles inside the triangle for interior, or are they somehow outside of the triangle for exterior? Inside or outside? Inside, interior. You're thinking, Miss Lusher, are we going to have exterior? Not today. That's our next lesson. So if you have three angles inside the triangle, what do you know about those three angles? What do they add up to be? 180. So you are quite literally going to say 55 plus x plus 93 plus 40 equals 180. Now listen carefully to my question. Why are we using 180? because it's, oh, no, not this time. Triangle has 180 degrees, okay? You have all three angles of a triangle, which is 180 degrees. So I took one angle, which is 55. I add that to the second angle, x plus 93. I add that to the third angle, 40. Now you're ready to solve. You're going to combine like terms. So the only thing over here is an x. I mean, I made this too easy on y'all. 55 plus 93 plus 40. What y'all got? My girl says 188 equals 180. How do I get x by itself if I've got plus 188? Subtract 188. Now, don't panic. What's 180 minus 188? Negative 8. You can have a negative x value. You just can't have a negative angle measure. So, if I asked you, now pretend like you didn't know these were whole numbers. If I asked you what was the measure of that angle, what would you do with negative 8? Put it in for x. Negative 8 plus 93 would give you whatever it is. Okay? To check your work, you could plug that in. Negative 8 plus 93 plus 40 plus 55 better equal 180 because if it don't, you're wrong. All right, let's look at number 8. I have a triangle. I have three angles. Now, somebody somewhere is going to panic and say, I do not know three angles. I know these two. But you do know a third angle. What is the third angle? 90, okay? Now, I personally, I don't have to write the 90 right there. I do it a lot of times so I don't forget it, okay? So, these three angles, they add up to equal how many degrees? 180. So, 4x plus 4 plus the 90 plus the 50 equals 180 degrees. Now you're going to solve. So I bring down my 4x. I got to simplify this side. I did 50 plus 90 plus 4, and what'd y'all get? Oh, you too far ahead of me. 144. You all right? You already there. Okay? And so then I'm on minus 144. I'm getting y'all to check my math. All right, so inverses cancel. 4x equals, what is 180 minus 144? 36. And how do I undo times 4? Divide by 4. So what does x equal? X really equals 9. Now, if you wanted to check it, I'm going to check this with my calculator real quick. So, if I do 4 times 9 plus 4, that's this angle, plus 90 for the other, plus 50 for the other, it equals 180. Let me show you what I mean. Let's say that you were solving and you accidentally thought that x was 8. If you do 4 times 8 plus 4 plus 90 plus 50, you get 176. How do you immediately know something's wrong? What's it? Because it's not 180, okay? You can plug these in and know if you're right. All right, so far I only gave you one algebra expression and two numbers. Now I'm going to give you two expressions. I could put all three of these having x's, and all you would do is take all three of these, and what do they add up to equal? 180. So 40 plus 6 plus 8x plus 8x plus 6 equals 180 degrees on the interior of a triangle. So 8x plus 8x gives me 16x. 40 plus 6 plus 6, I got 52. All of that equals 180. All right, you need to be paying attention. How do you undo plus 52? Subtract it, thank you, friend. So inverses cancel. 16x equals, what is 180 minus 52? 128. What's up, friend? I sure can zoom in. I'm sorry, I keep zooming out because I used my calculator. I forgot to go back in. All right, and so then divide by 16. X equals 8, my friend tells me. And if I want to make sure I'm right, I'm going to plug it back in and check it. All right, so let's work number 10 together. So eventually, we will be using interior and exterior angles, okay? Today, we are focused only on the interior angles. I know these are my interior angles because they are on the inside of the triangle. The three angles of a triangle. The triangle angle sum theorem tells us all three angles add up to be 180. So you're going to take that fact and you're going to say 83 degrees plus 3x plus 10 plus 6x minus 3 equals 180 degrees. And then you're going to simplify the left side. So 3 plus 6 is 9x. 83 plus 10 minus 3 gave me 90, which equals 180. Solving for x, so I'm going to minus 90 from both sides. Inverses cancel. 9x equals 90, and when I divide by 9, the x value equals 10. Now, I'm going to ask you a what if question. You do not have to write this down, okay? This is kind of where we're going next. Let's say this angle's name is A. If I asked you to tell me the measure of angle A, you would say, Miss Lusher, the angle A is 3x plus 10. And you used to not know x, but what do you now know? It's 10, so you're going to plug it in. So 3 times 10 is 30, plus 10 would be 40 degrees. So you would be able to tell me that this angle was 40 degrees. That's one of the things that you're going to have to look out for, and you're going to have to really read the directions and say, did she ask me to find an angle, or did she just ask me to find x? All right, so here's what I want you to do. We're on the back. I need to find the measure of angle A. So I could be a smarty pants and say, here's A. A is 4x plus 4. Well, that's great. 4x plus 4 is an expression. It's not the measure. The measure of the angle is how many degrees. Before I can find angle A, what do I have to find? I got to find the x, okay? So find x, then plug it in. All right, so I'm going to write you a note. Find x, then plug x in. Okay, so when I look at this triangle, I have all three angles inside the triangle. What do you know about these three angles of a triangle? They add up to be 180. So 8x plus 1 plus the 67 degrees plus the 4x plus 4 is going to equal 180 degrees. Okay. Combine like terms. 8 and 4 give me 12x. I did this in my calculator. I'm not going to lie to you. 1 plus 67 plus 4 gave me 72, which equaled 180. If I want x by itself, I got to subtract 72. Okay. And then I got 12x equals 180 minus 72 gives me 108. To get x by itself, I'll divide by 12. My x value equals 9, which is awesome. That means you solved it right. But if this was a test or a quiz, if you give me 9, I have to mark you wrong. I didn't ask you for x. What did I ask you for? I asked you for the measure of angle A. So what I want you to make sure you do is you figure out this one is A. Okay? So if I want the measure of angle A is 4 times x plus 4. What do you now know x is? Is 9. And so I typed in my calculator and I did 4 times 9, which is 36, plus 4, and that tells me the measure of angle A is 40 degrees. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to try number 12. Okay? In just a second, I'm going to write what the x is for number 12, not so you can steal my x, but so that you can see if you got it right. But I'm going to give you a minute to get started, okay? So you're trying number 12. All right, so when you finish solving, I wrote what the x is right here. Don't look until you finish solving. All right, my sweet friends, so you solved and you got x equals 10. Now let me show you how you should have set it up. So you got 39 plus 7x plus 4 plus 7x minus 3, which equals 180. You're paying attention right here. All right, so you solved. So you simplified and got 14x plus 40, which equals 180. You're trying to get x by itself, so you inverse 40. And then you have 14x equals 140. How do you undo times anything? You divide by what that is. And so that's how we got x equals 10. But x equals 10 is not what I asked you for. Now, I was really sweet to you on these problems, and I only gave you one angle. I could have named this every angle, B, C. How would you know which one I wanted? You got to go with the name. I said find me the measure of angle A. So because this is angle A, you now know that you plug in to 7 times x minus 3, and x is 10. What is 7 times 3 minus, or 7 times 10 minus 3? I'm so proud of you. 67 degrees. Okay? All right. I want you to look at 13. Have you already done 13? Okay. What did you get for 13? Your final answer was 20. Okay. So if you got 20, you're good. How did you get started? What do you know about these three angles? They all add up to be equal to 180. That's perfect. That's the one thing I need you to master today. They add up to equal 180 degrees. So when you simplify, you've got 8x plus 132 equals 180. I subtract 132 degrees on both sides. So 180 minus 132, I had 48, so that when I divided by 8, my x equaled 6. Now, I asked you for the measure of angle A, which is right here. What's going to happen if your x is not right? Then your angle's not going to be right, okay? So make sure you're showing me your work so that if you were to get the measure of angle A wrong, I can go back and see if you set it up and solved it right, or if you were just confused. So angle A is 3 times x plus 2, and x is 6. So 3 times 6 plus 2 is how my friends got their 20 degrees for the measure of angle A. So when you first look at 14, and when you look at 15, you're like, those are kind of weird. You've been just giving us plain old triangles. I need you to be able to visually see and kind of zoom in on the triangle. Here is the triangle. What do you know about those three angles of that triangle? Those three add up to equal 180, but you got a problem. You know one angle is 90. This one is 3x plus 7. I didn't tell you that one, or did I? This outside angle is 17 plus 3x. Because they intersect, what do you know about this one? It's the same. Those are vertical angles. That is vertical to here. So you had to do a little thinking, but now you've got all three on the inside of your pink triangle. So if you have all three angles, 17 plus 3x plus 3x plus 7 plus 90 equal 180 degrees. And so you're going to solve because you're supposed to find the measure of angle A. So 3 plus 3, that gives me 6x. 17 plus 7 plus 90 gave me 114 to equal 180. I want x by itself, so I've got to inverse the addition first. Inverses cancel. 6x equals 180 minus 114 is 66, and when you divide by 6, x equals 11, which is great, which is wonderful, but that's not what I asked you for. I asked you for the measure of angle A. This is A, right here. That's what you're looking for. A is 3 times x plus 7, and what do you now know x is? 11. And so 3 times 11 plus 7 happens to equal 40 degrees. All right, so now we're going to do our last one on the day's notes, okay? What I want you to do today is I really want you to focus on finding that triangle. Here is my triangle, because what have we learned that we're working with today? The interior of the triangle adds up to be 180. This angle is 9x minus 9. Can you tell me this angle? 40. Why? Because they're equal. They're vertical angles. I need to know this angle. Is there any way for you to find that out for me? It's a vertical angle. So these two are equal, so that's 3x plus 17. What do you know about the angles in my pink triangle? There you go. 9x minus 9 plus 3x plus 17 plus 40 equals 180 degrees. So combine like terms, 9 and 3 gives me 12x. Negative 9 plus 17 plus 40 gave me 48 to equal 180. I want 12x by itself, so I'm going to minus 48. Inverses cancel. 12x, 180 minus 48, my calculator told me it was 132. How do I get x all by itself right here? I undo times by, divide by 12. X equals 11. Now, if this was a multiple choice test, I'd probably put 11 as one of the answers. Because if you pick 11, what do I know? You were right. You did the right thing, but why are you wrong? Because you didn't finish the problem. Okay? So, I need to find the measure of angle A. I got to figure out which one that is. That's this angle. So if I'm going to find the measure of angle A, it is 9 times x minus 9. What is the value of x? 11. And according to my calculator, 9 times 11 minus 9 is 90 degrees. So the ultimate takeaway today is, if you add the three angles of a triangle, what does it equal? 180 degrees.